Hey everyone, Wylearn here, and it's Wednesday, and I hope everyone's ready because for the second time we have a very special guest on this channel. For Wylearn Wednesday, I usually get a lot of questions on finance. How can I stay motivated? How can I stay motivated in my job, starting a business? Do I go to college? And today we have a great guest to discuss a lot of these things. I want all of us to think outside the box when it comes to life and just creating a life for ourselves where we're happy and we're free and fulfilled. And so our guest today is newer on the COD commentary scene. He's kind of been reviving his YouTube from 2012. He's a former avid Call of Duty player, and he did not go to college. He quit his job, and he started a business and scaled it to be very successful. And as of now, he's almost a millionaire. And today we're going to have him on and to ask him questions and pick his brain a little bit. And by watching his videos, I've learned a lot of new ways of thinking from him and his content. He's clearly a very motivational and bright guy, and can tell he's got a lot of the same passions for things and money and business and the same obsession bug that I have with a lot of these things. So with that, I'd like to introduce BizPath. So BizPath, why don't you introduce yourself, give a quick elevator pitch. Who are you, and why did you decide to get started in the COD YouTube scene again?
Amazing intro, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. As always, my name is BizPath. Obviously, I'm on here with YouTube. I actually started my channel early 2013, technically 2011 based on the day, but 2013, I tried this commentary thing. I tried this Call of Duty gaming scene, if you will, where all the original commentators were. Didn't have anything valuable to talk about, so that very quickly died out. But I had that urge. I had that obsession from when I was a kid. When I was 14, 15 years old, I grew up on these old CODs. I still play them to this day, and that's kind of partially what motivated me to get back in. But honestly, the main thing was no lie, you. I remember sitting there one Friday morning checking YouTube as I normally do for background while I just, get to work, and I randomly saw one of your videos pop up in the recommended. For the life of me, I cannot remember what that main video was, but it really hit me like, oh, this is actually pretty sweet. This is some old Modern Warfare 2 gameplay. I see it in the thumbnail. I'm like, who the hell still plays Modern Warfare 2? So it was really cool. And then I remember vividly seeing the breakdown of how I went from 0 to 10K subs in 3 months playing old Call of Duty games. That was like, as a copywriter and just as a business guy, that really piqued my interest. So I immediately clicked, watched, start to finish twice, I think. And I was like, yep, this is really cool. Let's do this. It was almost like freeing to be like, if this guy can do it, so can I. I remember really relating heavily to you. I'm like, he's the same age. He's really interested in business and finance stuff, almost like genuinely kind of like a distant friend, as weird as that sounds. And I had my capture card right beside me, literally still to this day after all these years right beside. And I was like, well, if I'm playing these games a couple hours a week already and I just got to hit record, let's run it. And that's really just what sparked my interest to get this going. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and it's been so much fun for me too, getting back into it, and that video you're referencing too, with 0 to 10K subs, like you literally lived that in the last month. I think you're in the last month or so, or maybe two, you've gotten like halfway there. You've gotten monetized. Yeah. So you'll definitely be getting there soon, and it just shows that there's plenty of space for creators here. If you're consistent, if you have things to say that people resonate with, which a lot of us do. So it's been so much fun. I'm so happy that we both got back into it, and I've been a fan of a lot of your content on business and finance as well. So got a lot to discuss today for sure. So one topic that I see on your channel a lot is discussions around freedom and freedom in your day-to-day life, freedom, financial freedom. So what does freedom mean to you?
Man, that's a $1 million question that I seriously think more people should ask themselves. It's one of the best questions. Freedom to me is the ability to be wherever I want, do whatever I want at absolutely any time of the day. It doesn't, if something I don't want to do, like a meeting, or if it's just any task that I just find monotonous and boring, then I don't have to do it. That to me is true freedom. And that's why for the last few years I've been so focused on earning and investing, small portion of my money. I'm slowly catching back up there, but earning a high cash flow has been super important to me. And there, becomes a certain level of financial stability where that freedom can be real once you have enough money banked. You can, not to be cheesy, but break free from the quote unquote traditional system and do whatever the hell you want. It's something that I wish more people are able to experience. And I think it's more of a mindset in the beginning to achieve and then get that really kind of wrapped up from there. That's what it is for me. And I know it's similar to you too. And for anyone listening, it is something that I think everyone should chase, is true freedom, because your life is just going to be better in all ways. Seriously.
Yep. Yeah, I know in my situation this last year, I quit my job, and so I've gotten a little bit of taste of a lot of this freedom. And once you kind of get started with that, it's almost addicting. Like you wake up, your day belongs to you. You can go to the gym at 11 a.m. when nobody's there. You can, if you're not feeling it that day, you can, if you don't have meetings or something, you can take it off. And that's part of my motivation of wanting to, like, my entrepreneurial ventures to succeed is I think this freedom stuff, man. It's pretty good once you get there. It'd be hard to go back. So it's definitely an interesting way to build your life that I think a lot of people should strive for, and something that's achievable.
Yeah.
So speaking of just kind of life decisions, and it's a lot of people on my channel have a couple decisions to make in their early 20s. So one of them is the education they pursue and whether or not to go to college. And then a couple, after that, you go to get a job. So I know you've made some non-traditional decisions, and one of them is you did not attend college. And what's interesting is I kind of have the opposite story than you here. So when it comes to education, I went and I got a traditional 4-year degree, bachelor's degree. I attended college. It gave me some things, but I'm skeptical of it. I think there's a lot of wasted time, wasted money, and it's a lot of people I think maybe shouldn't go. It depends on your situation, but why don't you walk us through the decision you made to not go to college?
Yeah, the college one was tough, man. And this goes back to childhood, where my dad and I were constantly battling each other on, like, you need to go to college. And I was telling him, no, I'm not going to do that. And there was just this one time where he's like, yeah, Shaq went to college, and you know what? You know what his best achievement is? It's not all his championship awards. It's not all the money. It's not anything like that, the fame. It's that he got his PhD. And I remember him, being just super adamant about that. And I freaked at him one day, and I yelled at the top of my lungs, I'm not Shaq. And I was grade 11, grade 12 at this point, so still young, but I had so much conviction in myself that it's like, dude, I'm going to make this internet thing work, whether you like it or not. And I was trying so many different things, right? I've talked about this in other videos of mine, where you just got to try stuff. And he believed in me to a certain level, but he really didn't. He's like, you got to have college. You got to get an education. It's the only thing that's going to make you any type of reasonable money, or you're going to be a loser if you don't. And, him and I are incredible now. We're great now. But that was the decision to me, was to prove him wrong, for one. And for two, I honestly didn't believe I needed it. I didn't want to go to the trades, be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. For those who are listening who want to do that, by all means, you must get an education, for sure. That's fair. But for people who just want to do business, or they want to get into sales, or they want to even do some other things like software, like, you don't actually need a formal education, if you will. Now, it's incredible for connections. It's incredible for even sometimes building soft social skills. Like, that's amazing. There's no taking away from that. But sometimes just to, at 17, 18, make one of the most important decisions of your life, go into a ton of debt at that point, it's like, that doesn't make any sense. That's super silly. Like, why would you do that? And we're almost like pressured and forced. And there's just social pressure to do that I think everyone should push against, or at least look in the mirror and ask yourself, it's like, is this something I really want to do? And just be very careful on that. So that was my kind of mindset back then.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with the social pressure part. Like, when I was making that decision, which again is a huge decision to make for like an 18-year-old, I felt like, it's like, yeah, everybody goes to college, of course. Like all you have to do is go and you'll be successful, right? Like, that was kind of what was pushed on us, which is not true. It can help you if you're in a certain degree or a certain skill set that you're studying. Computer science, engineering come to the top of my mind, or anything that's advanced like law. It makes sense to do it, but I think you need to be a lot more strategic in your college choice, because it is very expensive. It definitely does not always make sense, and it could be an awful decision that saddles you with debt for a lot of your life.
Exactly.
So you got to be careful. But that being said, there are pros to college. I think at mine, I learned people skills a lot more. I was kind of an introverted kid in high school, and college kind of taught me how to deal with a variety of people, how to deal with the frat bros and the quiet person, the quiet kid you want to study with, and like just stuff like that. And also I made some connections. I still learned some stuff, although you learn mostly on these jobs anyways. So it's definitely a big debate to be had on the viability of college. But definitely be strategic about it. So the next non-traditional decision. So you didn't go to college, you got a sales job, and then you ended up quitting that job. Could you walk us through why you did that, and maybe a little bit on how you prepared to quit your job?
Big time. I think I quit my job strategically because I felt so damn confident in being able to do what I was doing already within that job, but for myself on a freelance basis. So I'd always wanted to take the leap, but in a more calculated way. And to be honest, I feel like I actually waited 2 years too late to do so. So I worked at that job for a total of 4 years. in 2 years in, I was getting light offers from other companies, other bigger corporations of offering me just a higher salary. And they saw my LinkedIn, they saw my results, they're like, hey, we know you're crushing it there. Here's our offer, even lightly. If you want to talk more about specifics, let me know. And even past clients messaging me and saying, hey, I don't fully agree with the company you work for. I don't like your boss. I don't like kind of the offering, but I really like you and you as a person. If you ever want to do something on your own, call me first. But I was unfortunately so deep into drinking that startup Kool-Aid, if you will, for my boss that I just stayed really comfortable. I still, tried projects here and there on the side, but I never fully committed to anything, which was, in my opinion, a huge mistake. And that was the issue, right? I just didn't take the plunge, but then it finally, worked out. And, we'll talk more about this in a couple of minutes from the business side, but I had more customers lined up covering the salary that I was going to make, and it would be crazy for me not to have quit. And it's been the absolute best thing that I've ever done. So I'm not saying burn the bridges and do what you will with that information, but be careful, be strategic. And if you can do it comfortably, I'd say do it. And it's only, I don't, something I like to talk about is the risk tolerance. It's like when you're in your 20s, that's the time to take risk. Sure as hell not in your 30s and 40s when you've got kids and a mortgage. And I'm telling you right now, for anyone older than us, I'm 26, there's going to be a time where you have no appetite for risk. I can even feel myself getting a little bit more risk averse now that I'm getting older. And it's like, oh, do I want to do that? I would have easily pulled the trigger on this in my early 20s, but I don't know if I want to do this now. Is it really worth my time? And you just that starts to get calcified a little bit. Your risk starts to dwindle slightly.
Yeah, you definitely have more capacity for risk when you're young because you get older, you might have a serious relationship, you might be married, might have kids, and then you can't take dumb risks because that's a lot more irresponsible. But yes. You touched on a lot of good things. I think you seem to have a good reputation when you were working a 9-to-5, which helped in your business career because you had the trust of people and you had some connections in the space. So if you are in your 9-to-5, there's a lot to be gained from being a good employee, from still trying to be your best self, because you never know what could happen later and who could help you down the line. So that was one thing. And then in terms of quitting your job, you have to do it responsibly. So for me, I had a couple of things going. I had years of money saved up and invested that I could fall back on if I needed. I also had two sources of income. So I had my dividend income from my investment portfolio, and then my YouTube channel had about 10K subs at the time. So when I quit my job, I still had revenue coming in, which helped buffer the loss of my main salary, if you will. Yeah. So it's very important to have something like that lined up. And then I had backup plans. So I didn't burn any bridges at work. I was chill with my bosses, and really any job that I've left in my career so far, my old manager would text me and say, hey, we got this opening for you. We'd love to have you back. And I think that gives me peace of mind. If it doesn't work, I can go back to a good situation. So you got to be responsible with quitting your job, and BizPath definitely did that, and that's something I tried to do. But you also balance that with taking risks.
Yeah. Everyone's different, right? Just do what you feel is best in that moment. I always say my key indicator, if you need one baseline number, it's 3 to 6 months like you did. You had years, which is incredible. If you can get to that position, that's amazing. Or ideally both, but at minimum or enough income coming in from your side hustle or from different revenue streams that cover your salary. So if you're making $5,000 a month from your job, but you've got $5,000 a month also coming in from your side hustle or other income sources, that's when to take the plunge. Don't view that as, oh my God, I'm making $10,000 a month and I could spend more, bottles and whatnot. It's like, don't do that. Live as if you're broke. Actually, I did that for the beginning, and that's why I was able to keep my monthly burn super low. Stack your cash. This is another thing, and maybe we'll get into this in a minute, but just stack your cash, plan your exit slowly. Do not tell colleagues, do not tell coworkers. They will use that against you. This is not the kind of culture, family-esque in a company that does not exist anymore. And Wylearn's huge on that. And it's so damn true, is that it's like, guys, be careful. These people are not, this is a company. This is a for-profit corporation, and they will cut you if they need to. So you need to have that same sentiment, lead with that same way, stack your cash, keep things low, build some stuff on the side, take risks early. And I wouldn't say you can't fail. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's very unlikely that you don't at some point hit the home run and things work out in your favor. So
Yeah, exactly. There's company loyalty is not really a thing anymore. You got to watch out for yourself because they could cut you without you knowing.
Exactly.
But anyways, the word entrepreneur, it's a buzzword kind of. It's often kind of this vague word thrown around, and I think people are kind of confused. Like, what does this mean to be an entrepreneur? What does your life look like? So, you are an entrepreneur. So, what does BizPath's day-to-day life look like? He wakes up, he gets out of bed, he makes a coffee. Then what?
Yep. From there, it's hydrate. I'm not doing some crazy schedule 5 a.m. cold plunges or 10-mile long runs. I'm actually pretty simple. And in this day, I'll talk about what it was in the beginning, just very briefly. But right now, I've got a team of 10 that handles most of the fulfillment, handles most of the day-to-day within my business that I am semi-removed. I just need to get out of their way. I am responsible for closing and bringing on new customers. So client acquisition is the kind of term that we use there. My day-to-day is very simple. I wake up, I try to get a quick win, whether that's just getting the admin stuff out of the way of brushing my teeth and obviously the whole basic. I get myself out. I just go for a walk, 20 to 30 minutes. I live in a nice area, so I just walk around the neighborhood, get my head straight, sometimes pop on a podcast. And then as soon as I get home, hydrate some more, pop in a coffee. And then that is my dialed focus in time from like 9 to 11, 9 to 12 is just a couple hours of just completely blacked out work. Mm-hmm. I do not respond to any personal messages. I keep my phone turned upside down on silent, and I'm just deep, like focused.
Yeah.
It just allows me. I'm a big morning guy. I know some people aren't, but I'm a huge, I'm sharp as attack in the morning. So I want to optimize that and build on that as much as I can. And by around noon, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of starting to feel this. I'm feeling a little groggy. I'll either eat something light and then go to the gym, or I'll just completely fast, get my way to the gym. I'll walk there for more steps. It's within walking distance, which is awesome. And I use that as like an afternoon pick-me-up. So not only do I feel great when I come out, but while I'm in there, I'm like, no, this feels good. Like, let's get moving, let's get lifting kind of thing. So that feels really good. I come out of there more dialed in, more focused. And then, it depends. The afternoons are really different. Sometimes I'm doing some YouTube stuff, or as just on the business side, if I have calls, I'll take them. My calls usually end around like 3 and 4. So I'll just either do whatever I want past that point. If I just want to make some ad hoc calls, I'll do it. If not, I'll do whatever I want personally. And that could mean talking to family members. That could be just chilling, watching YouTube until something comes up, and then kind of take it from there. My days end around 5 o'clock, and then I'm just kind of relaxing from there. But in the beginning, like, I want to talk, I know that sounds like, oh my God, that sounds great. You can make your own schedule. It's like, yeah, you can, but not only are you still responsible for everything that happens, good and bad, still to this day. But in the beginning, if you think you're trading a 9 to 5 for 9 to 10 or a 9 to 12 or something that's really short, you're trading that for a 9 to 9. You will work like a dog. And I, did 10 to 12 hour days in the beginning because I was doing literally everything. I was doing fulfillment. I was bringing on new customers. I was speaking to customers about their account. We're a lead gen business. So I was setting up campaigns. I was dialing the appointments. I was like doing absolutely everything and just putting out fires left, right, and center. And then I was having to catch up and train employees after hours to slowly get some stuff on my plate. And that's just how it was for the first 6 to 12 months. And I highly recommend that you have that same mindset if you really want to do this. It's not going to get easier. It'll get easier a couple of years from now. In the beginning, it's going to be very difficult. So just be very, not difficult, but it's going to be, you're going to have a lot of fires to put out and a lot of things in the air. So just take that how you will.
Yeah, it's kind of like Mark Cuban talks about sweat equity. That's completely true in the early days of the business. It's all you. You are going to be working much harder. It's going to be tough. You probably won't be making near as much money as you were before in the early days.
Exactly.
And kind of like you mentioned, day to day, it's important to keep yourself in good shape, keep your body healthy, keep your mind healthy. And I think you mentioned focus a few times. Like, you need to block off time where you're not looking at your phone, you're not on analytics, you're not on Instagram. Like, you are 100%. Focusing on your thing. And the importance of like planning your day out. Like, before I go to bed, I like to just kind of sit there and be like, what are the couple things I need to do tomorrow to just move forward? And honestly, a lot of the days for me, they're one the day before. You just got to execute.
That's so true.
them.
I wish I should have said that. I like to look at my schedule, not every day. I used to be really diligent with this. It's kind of slipped out a little bit lately, but I need to get back to, I used to look at my calls from the previous day and forward. I would look at like, all right, what does my schedule look like hour by hour, 30-minute by 30-minute blocks? tomorrow? Like, what can I do to prepare? Whether it's consult calls or whatever, or check-in calls, I want to know everything before I even go into that meeting. And in the beginning, I think it's really important that you have a morning routine. You have blocks that you can knock down in the beginning, even when things are hectic and crazy. That's why you need a routine. You need something predictable that your body can get used to, because, we'll talk about this in a minute, but like, motivation only goes so long. You need actual firm discipline, right? You need to have a block time to do things, do the tasks that you need to do in order to move forward. So no, you said it perfectly. I really agree with that. Everyone should have some type of like journal or log on just, checking your day to day.
Yep. Because there's no one telling you what to do. You got to do it. But
exactly.
Anyway, so you mentioned the kind of the start of your business, the early days, putting in the hours, finding people. How'd you manage to find your first clients? And I guess after that, you could talk more about like managing relationships with people to get to move your business forward.
I was in a very fortunate position. So going back to the first couple of points where I talked about like, this was a lead gen business. So we were a service-based company. I was working more or less within my own book of business through that organization to have these clients under my name, under my wing, essentially. And I was able to tap into that. And this is when the boss, my old boss originally, he made his money. He was getting burnt out. He had a child. He's like, hey, I'm shutting this thing down. You guys can either go work with, the biggest customer at the time, or, you have my blessing to go and start something like this on your own. I know our current customers are going to need that. I'm just shutting this thing down because I absolutely need to. So I took that really literally, being like, this is the opportunity. Like, I should at least try. I reached out to absolutely every single past customer that we worked with as a company and I worked with personally. And that's where we got a ton of interest. I said, hey, I'm doing this on a freelance basis. I'm doing this on my own. Here's some XYZ results that you remember getting with us. Let me know if you're interested. And we got a ton of first kind of customers through that. So I was very lucky. I know I was able to build off that, my current network, but that's why it's so important to know who you know, build your kind of network, if you will, personally and professionally, and just tap into it when you need to. In this case, I wouldn't say it saved my life, but it definitely gave me my first initial traction, my first initial unlock to be like, oh my God, like there's demand for this service that I can do on my own. This is insane. So that's how originally I found my first kind of clients, and also how and why I started the business was because like, hey, this thing is right in front of me. All my experience lies within lead generation, and I may as well just do the same thing, but for myself, which I've been talking about for years, and it worked out really well.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's kind of like you had this progression of you had your 9-to-5 job where you made connections, you saw the industry, you learned about it, and then you kind of took the leap, relied on your network, you reached out to people you knew, and then eventually that kind of dries up because you only know so many people. Then you kind of turn to the cold emails, the software, the automation, and it's cool to see like the progression of business, kind of from that perspective. So I guess with any time that people are making money and there's something to be had, you probably have a lot of competition. So how do you differentiate yourself from others? Like, why should people trust you with these lead generations as opposed to Johnny down the street who has a business too?
This is a good one. The edge. I think everyone, if you're wanting to start a business, you need to ask yourself what your edge is. What mine was the owner level experience of doing exactly to the T what I was selling. So it wasn't like I was some corporate, CEO where I was just trying to start a business that I had no business in starting or no idea what I was doing. I literally did the thing that I was selling. I made hundreds and thousands of cold calls. I booked tens of thousands of appointments. I spoke with so many leads, and I did the service that I was fulfilling on. And they're like, hey, none of your competitors do this. Your competitors are in their 40s and 50s and just trying to, make some quick cash by starting a business like this and then hiring it out. You are literally doing, the problem that I have A to Z. You know my issues personally, and you're now selling a solution to fix those problems. Of course, I'm going to work with you rather than someone else. So it may be different for different businesses. I know for a fact it will be, but find your edge. Find your edge. I'm not big on, cutting costs and being a competitor on cost, but maybe your product is just so damn good that you can, sell that to the best of your ability. Maybe you're a really good customer experience person where it's like you make the customer feel heard and understood and all these types of things. Find your edge. That's what I would say to anyone wanting to start a business is don't just try to start the next mom and pop shop down the street. Like, really try to hone in on what you're good at and what you care about, right? It's going to work in your favor.
Yeah, exactly. It's the importance of personal connections too, because I think that's definitely something that you've been good at, and that's definitely assisted you succeed in your career. So Let's
For
talk a
sure.
little bit more about kind of personal connections and sales. So, in my mind, we're all salesmen at the end of the day. You're trying to, sell yourself to get people to believe in you. On YouTube, you're competing with people. Why should you watch our videos as opposed to someone else's videos? It's we're selling ourselves. We're all salesmen, and that applies in a variety of domains. So, do you have any sales tips for those out there? Like, how do you get started? Maybe how do you sell something to someone?
Sales is, and I want to get I know there's a bad rap about sales. It's like the Wolf of Wall Street, hard close, real snake oil kind of salesman way. It's like, that's not sales. Okay. I don't agree with any of that. We don't do that personally. I don't condone any of that. Selling is literally just selling a product or service to fix someone's problem. And this problem could cost a couple $100s. It could cost tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. It all depends on what the marketplace is, but you're really just addressing those. And we have a very I do at least, a consultative, conversational type way of selling. It's like, hey, tell me your issues. I'm going to be able to tell you if I can fulfill and help you on those issues. I'm going to tell you what we offer. And then if it's a good fit, I'll tell you at the very end. And if it's not, I'm going to also tell you at the very end, be like, hey, yeah, this is totally out of our wheelhouse, but here's what I'd recommend. Give him some free resources and then kind of go about our way that way. It's you said it perfectly. It's like we all are salespeople at the end of the day. It goes way back to his kids. It's like you're selling your parents on why you should be able to go out with friends late at night. You're selling teachers on why you missed the homework and why you needed an extra day or two to complete it. It's like everything in life is a sale if you think about it. So It's like, even if you want to start any entrepreneur, if you want to start any kind of business, you're going to need to know how to sell. Even if it's, something offline or a boring business, like you need to know how to sell product. You need to move stuff. You need to make money. And sales is oxygen, in my opinion. So it's really just addressing problems, not being pushy, letting people attract to you, nurture that relationship. And you said it perfectly. It's like, it's just relationships at the end of the day. It's people that you know and helping them out from there.
Yeah. No, it's too. You gotta find someone who it makes sense to sell to. Like, you don't want to be selling Call of Duty games to 80-year-olds. You got to find someone who might be remotely interested in what you're offering, or there's some overlap, and you talk to them, figure out if you can help them. And if you can, great. And if you can't, you move on. And you get a lot of rejection, and that's just part of it. You will probably be rejected the majority of the time, actually.
Bingo.
Part of the game. On yours and my channel, we have a lot of videos on finance and investing and money. And I know investing is giving me a lot in my life, and it's just been crucial to the mission of me quitting my job, me having some level of freedom. So I wonder if you had any. And again, we're not financial advisors, we're not pros by any means. We're just two guys who have lived some life and had some degree of success. So how would you go about both investing if you have some money, some spare money? And also, what's your opinion on being cheap?
Yeah, this is huge. I think there's two main points. And this is, first one, it's something that I tell all my viewers, and I think I've seen you as well say it, where it's like, the best investment, as cheesy as it sounds, is going to be yourself. You need to think of yourself as a vessel, someone who you can learn X skill to make X amount of dollars. And that skill could be sales, marketing, lead gen, web design, whatever. And, Alex Hormozi, he talks about this for those listening. It's a business kind of YouTube guy who talks about the SME 500, competing with obviously the S&P 500. It's a joke that he has where it's like, invest in you. You're going to be able to invest a couple $1,000s to learn a skill that can make you $10, $20, $30,000. That's a huge return. So you need to treat yourself as like constantly look for consulting, constantly look for coaching, always look for ways to better improve yourself, because the more skills you learn, in my opinion, the more money you're going to earn. So it's the best investment you can ever make. Now, when that is obviously exhausted, when you are comfortably putting enough money into self-learning, this is again not financial advice, it's extremely boring, but just the S&P 500, a very boring index fund that ideally is Vanguard or something like that just matches the S&P, that gets you a solid maybe 7, 8, 10% a year. Obviously the market has gone crazy these last couple of years, but I always say start sooner. Just dollar cost average what you can, even if it's a couple $100s. Weilearn had an incredible video on investing specifically that was so damn good on the breakdown of just, dude, look at the compound interest. There's a reason why people joke about it being the eighth wonder of the world. It is insane when you give it the decades and couple times that it needs, that it just turns into this huge balloon of cash, and you are sitting on a very nice retirement fund for most people, or just a nice nest egg, and it can change your life. Seriously, if you take this seriously now and you discipline yourself with investing into the market when you can, it's amazing. Versus at least I'm very risk averse with speculative stuff. I get it. Crypto's the new hot thing, or these is other individual stocks. I get it. I'm not against it either, but I just would never bet my net worth on it. I'd bet my net worth on things that have predictably gotten a nice return over the last 100+ years. So just my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little bit as early as you can. Just keep putting a little bit away each month, as often as you can. And then, as BizPath said, you need a skill. So it's not a bad thing to invest in yourself to learn something so you can make more down the line, a skill set that has value in the marketplace. Because if you're an unskilled person in today's kind of job market, it's going to be very difficult for you to make it. So invest in yourself and also invest in markets so that your money can work for you, because it doesn't take much over a long period of time before you're sitting on a large sum of money when you're older. So both all that things to think about. That, and you should be buying the Hawk Tuah coin as well. Make sure to do that. That's going to make you a billionaire.
Please do.
Yep. So kind of a couple more deeper questions to wrap this up. So a lot of people kind of in my inbox or in my comments, and I'm sure your comments and inbox too, they feel stuck in their situations. They're struggling to stay motivated. The future may seem bleak, and maybe they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So what's your advice for people to stay motivated?
This is a tough one, and this is a deep one for a reason. It's what everyone wants. Everyone wants more, right? People are ambitious. They just don't know how to get there. They're foggy. And this is why I'm so big on just physical health. I know it sounds cheesy, physical and mental health, which are two in the same, and they kind of bounce off each other. But as silly as it sounds, just eat better, right? Whole foods, go for walks, just get outside, get more creative, because that's going to lead into that is just you feeling better by doing some type of light exercise. I'm not asking you to go be a bodybuilder and 7 times in the week or 7 times a week in the gym. Just go get some momentum, get some positive kind of energy flowing through you. And that for me is a walk. It's always going to be that way. I've done steps every day for the last years, and it's been just really helpful with my mental health. That cleared me up to find motivation to be okay, I feel physically good now. Now I can give my business more attention. I can give my relationships more attention, and that builds on top of itself. That's just the initial momentum. And you need to use these little spurts of motivation that you get from this and turn it into discipline. Motivation will run out very, very quickly. I've learned that, and you probably have too. And everyone listening maybe has these moments where it's oh my God, I feel so motivated, I feel so good. And then by the end of the day or the end of the week, they're just where the hell did that go? I lost it. I lost that spark. And you will lose that. That's just natural kind of human I guess, touch points, if you will. You're going to lose those, spurts of motivation. So you need to find discipline. You need to create routine. I know we're kind of repeating some of the same topics about routine here, but it's so important to get that initially. And you're going to have to get ahead. There's a lot of people that are man, I work a warehouse job 10 hours. Then I work part-time at this restaurant on the weekends. Where the hell can I find time? Of course I want to make more money. Of course I want to, get better at X, Y, and Z, but where am I going to find the time? And it's just I hate to break it to you, man, but you're going to have to force yourself. If you want it bad enough, you're going to have to carve out 30 minutes a day, 1 hour a day to learn something new. Learn that skill. Just even if it's at midnight, I don't care. You're going to have to lose a little bit of sleep in the beginning to get ahead. You have to get ahead. I had those moments. I know for a fact Wyland had those moments of you're just grinding 10, 12 hours a day. But that's why it is easier to do something that you actually care about, whether it's content creation, whether it's, it could be trading, it could be learning, different skills, whatever, right? Just go all in on said thing, find yourself deep in the trenches, and that kind of just creates everything and spirals up from there. At least it did for me. Yeah,
you need something to give you a quick win and momentum. So on my channel, I've told the story of I was kind of a depressed kid in high school, and eventually I found the gym, and it gave me these very quick wins. Something I needed, something to get my confidence back. Then that trickled into other areas of my life. Now I'm doing better in school. Now I'm making more friends. Now I'm asking girls out. I mean, it's just anything to get you started, I think. And that just comes down to trying things, getting out there, and just know you can take control of your life. There's people who are in much bleaker situations than a lot of us who really, they made it out. They made something happen. Then you just have to have that belief as well, even during the tough days. So next question. If your life goes perfectly in the next 5 years, where are you at? Where's BizPath at?
This is a this is a good one too. I'd say a couple. I got 2 to 3. One is obviously this YouTube thing. I'm totally content with it staying towards this niche, but really strong audience. That's great. That's awesome. Even if it does stay this way. But of course, I'd be lying to myself. And I think anyone is lying to themselves if they don't want to grow. They don't want more. They don't want to scale even further and really push the limits to see how far this thing can go. So, 100,000, a couple 100,000 subs would be incredible, because that just means the more people we can help. You and I are not making some silly Fortnite videos that don't really have much, meat to them. We're really talking about kind of more or less, as cheesy as it sounds, life-changing topics, and we're really helping people. The amount of comments that I've gotten from it, it's like, man, I took your advice. I'm now investing 50% of my paycheck on a recurring schedule. Man, I'm, getting out of debt and paying this off as soon as I possibly can so I can invest more. It's like, these are life-changing comments to me. And if all I got to do is turn the scale up a little further to get more attention, I'm going to do that. Attention is not a bad thing. So that's number one. Number two, I guess it kind of bleeds into number 3, if you will, is just enough money invested to where it's like kind of my FU money number, if you will. I'm really hoping to get there to where it's like, hey, if I don't want to take a meeting today, if I don't want to meet said person and talk about said thing for this amount of time, then I don't have to. I literally don't have to do anything I don't want to do. I'm getting there, and I'm still in a position to where it's like, hey, if someone's really bad, if there's someone I really have no interest in talking to, I don't actually have to do that. Where 4 years ago, I did have to do that. I was forced to take meetings that I didn't want to do. So I'm out of like what I like to call survival mode. I'm in kind of like this just continue building mode, but I'm not in my wealth preservation mode, which is like, it's actually more risky to try and chase more money than it is to just preserve what I've already got. So I'm building to a large, FU money number, and I'm really trying to, build on that and have a safe withdrawal rate of a couple $100,000 a year of just, real spending money. And with investing, you and I both know that that number is life-changing. You never touch your principal. Your investments pay you more, and I like to end off with this. It's like your money literally works harder than you ever will. And that is it's just such a surreal feeling that I've seen from other people when they achieve it. It's like, I want that. 5 to 10 years from now, I want that right there.
You can get to it. It's a lofty goal. It's tough, but you're on that trajectory. And I think a lot of people can shoot for, much bigger numbers than they even think they could achieve. So with that, the last question is, do you have any advice for a 20-year-old just starting off their journey, both in life and in business?
Man, this is I think the deepest question on this list, because this is my most common question even to this day, is like 21 years old. Here's my situation. What do I do? And it's obviously, take everything, to those listening, with a grain of salt here. Everyone is different. Everyone's situation growing up is different. Whether you want to go to school, that's different for everyone. I would say, if you're wanting to learn business, start in sales. I know I'm biased and it's a little cheesy, but just you need to learn sales, because it is a skill that if you learn properly, even if it's not within your own business and selling your own products or services, you could literally just bolt onto anyone's business and sell their products or services for a nice juicy commission and make 10, 15, 20 grand a month doing that, whether it's closing roles or whatnot. So I would 100% learn sales. Number 2 is, if you can get paid to learn sales and just start right away, that's what I would do. Take on a company's old leads, just call through their old databases, if you will, get them to pay you on a performance basis. If you can absolutely swing it, a nice little base salary or minimum salary would be great, so you've got some money coming in, but basically get paid to learn. That way you're not having to start up your own business, set up the corporation, all this kind of tricky stuff. You just literally need to sell. You need to get your reps in as soon as humanly possible. So that's on the business side, which is just starting in sales. That's what I would 100% recommend. If it's more personal, like Weilearn said perfectly, just get in the gym, get in shape, start eating proper foods, get your mind, because that leads into your mind. And then if your mind is more clear, if you have less fog in your brain, you're going to be able to think clear, and you're going to be able to think of different business ideas, or you're going to be able to think of, ways that you can help your family more or whatever, right? You're going to feel more motivated. It's all momentum. And I like to say it's dominoes, right? You're not trying to start at chapter 1 and look at chapter 100. You have no need to look that far ahead right now. You need chapter 2, and you need it right away. Or as soon as humanly possible. So focus on that. And I know I'm kind of trying to just give a firm answer, but that's as best as I can do. I'm just going based off my experience. And I think Weilearn feels the same way, where it's like, look at our paths. Like we it's funny. I have this like visual chart in my head where it's like we start at the same line, but we take very different paths, but we're all trying to get to the same goal. So it's like everyone's different, right? Take everything with a grain of salt. But as long as you're happy, you're making a very good income. Hopefully, I'm big on making as much money as you possibly can while you're young. Start investing while you're young. You're gonna make it. You're gonna do it. You're gonna be okay. And there's the lovely haters that try to say, oh man, this is BS, this doesn't work, this is a scam. It's like you can't let that stuff get to you. Just leave it and move past it. Sorry, I actually completely forgot to say a point where it's like start making content, start just documenting your journey. People relate to it heavily. You're gonna be able to build an audience. Now we are in the attention economy, and YouTube more now than ever, at least in these other platforms, are really favoring new creators. So get your phone out. I don't care what the quality is like. You're going to be able to find your own audience and build from there. So that's my kind of advice in a nutshell, if you will.
Yeah, no, that's all great advice. The sky's really the limit, guys. It's your life. You gotta go grab it. The stuff's out there, but you gotta earn it. It's not easy.
Exactly.
But it'll make you a much better, a much stronger person at the end of the day. So this was a lot of fun, BizPath. I know we spent quite a bit of time recording this, but if you're new to BizPath's content, definitely go and check out his channel. He's got a lot of great stuff, got a lot of great business advice. Definitely go check his stuff out. And thanks for coming on today. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you, man. Likewise. Great. Thanks for getting me into this scene back again. For anyone listening, thank you, and keep pushing both of our channels. We love it. Thank you.
All right, catch everyone later. Peace out.